My name is Sarah, and I'm a volunteer with Let's Talk Science at the University of Victoria. Today, we're going to be talking about how all the plants around you grow from just teeny tiny little seeds. So first of all, let's talk about what a seed even is. I have a bunch of different things laid out in front of me here, and if you want to, I encourage you to pause the video and take a look at these and try to guess which ones are seeds and which ones are not. If you were a bit puzzled, that's because this was a trick question. In fact, everything that you see here is a seed. These are all common things that you might have around your house, like chickpeas, apple seeds, sunflower seeds, red lentils, almonds, pumpkin seeds, black beans, rice, and even popcorn kernels. But seeds come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes, from the light, fuzzy dandelion seed to the double coconut, the largest seed in the world. A seed has multiple different parts, all of which are very important. We'll just talk about a few today. The seed coat, or outer shell of the seed, protects it from drying out or from having the inside eaten by a hungry animal. The embryo is the baby plant that's inside the seed waiting to grow into a whole new plant. The endosperm fills up most of the space in the seed and is the food for the baby plant. It is mostly made of oils, sugars, and proteins that the embryo will use until it reaches the surface and can start generating its own energy by transforming sunlight into sugars through a process called photosynthesis. Once a seed is fully formed with all these parts, it's ready to leave its mother plant. Seeds can't walk, so they come up with some pretty creative ways to get away and find their own spot to grow. Some, like nuts, get buried in the ground by squirrels wanting to save them for the winter. Squirrels always forget about some of the nuts they leave in the ground, and these nuts are in the perfect spot to start growing when spring comes. Fruits and berries are sweet and taste good for a reason too. They get eaten by birds and other animals, and when the animal digests the extra fruity bits, the tiny little seeds are small enough to pass through unharmed, and when they pass through the animal, they get deposited as scat with their own little pile of fertilizer to grow in. Burrs, which are the seed for the plant burdock, are designed to stick to the fur of passing animals who will rub them off and drop them elsewhere. Yet other seeds, like pine seeds, which are the tiny papery seeds found inside of pine cones, are so light that they can float on the wind for long distances before being dropped into a new place. Once it is in the ground, a seed waits very patiently for the right conditions to start growing. Some seeds can wait in the ground for up to 100 years. This is a stage called dormancy. The seed will only start growing when it senses that it has the perfect conditions so that it can grow big and be healthy. What kinds of things do you think that a seed needs to start growing? Pause the video here and see if you can think of some things on your own. Here are some of the biggest things that a seed needs to start growing. Lots of sunlight. This is why most seeds start growing in the spring, when the days start getting longer. Warmth, water, nutrients. At first, the baby plant gets nutrients from the endosperm in the seed, but when it uses up all those energy reserves, it needs to get nutrients from the soil that it's planted in. This process of a seed starting to grow is called germination. Different kinds of seeds have different germination periods, which is the amount of time that the seed needs to be exposed to these good conditions before it starts to grow. If you found this video interesting and would like to try growing a seed on your own in a way where you can see a lot of the things that we talked about actually happening, I'm going to show you how to grow a seed in a jar. This activity gives you a chance to see all the things that would usually be happening all the way underground. You'll need a large glass jar, some water, paper towels, and about 4 seeds. There are a lot of different seeds out there that you can plant in your garden, but for this experiment, peas, beans, or sunflower seeds usually work the best. I'm going to plant 2 different kinds of peas and 2 different kinds of sunflowers. First, fill up the jar with folded or crumpled up pieces of paper towel. Next, slowly pour enough water over the paper towels to make them damp but not soaking wet. There should not be extra water sitting at the bottom of the jar. Next, gently push your seeds down between the paper towels and the edge of the jar so that they're about halfway down and can be seen clearly. If you're having trouble placing the seeds just right, a chopstick can help. Make sure that the paper towels are holding the seed firmly in place. This process may have compacted down the paper towels that you had in your jar, so you can always add some more on top if needed and water them gently just like before. Finally, Put your jar in a sunny place and wait for the seeds to germinate. Your seed package should tell you how long your seeds will take to germinate and start growing, but don't worry if they're a few days late. For the seeds that we recommended using, you can often see some growth within the first couple of days, so watch closely. For various reasons, some seeds might not start growing at all, so we recommend planting 3 or 4 to make sure that at least one grows. Make sure to keep turning your jar so that all of your seeds get some sunlight, and if the paper towels dry out after a week or so, you can give it a bit of water. It's important not to over-soak the seeds, so either water your jar very carefully or use a spray bottle to avoid any overwatering accidents. The first part of the plant to poke out of the seed is the root. This starts to grow downward, and the shoot soon follows and starts to grow up. The baby plant has little sensors in the root tips that sense which direction the force of gravity is acting on it, and this tells the plant which way is up and which way is down. So even if the root was to start coming out the top of the seed, it would immediately turn and start to grow down, and the shoot would start to grow up. The root tip will grow down a little bit, and then begin to branch off into thin, stringy root hairs. These allow the root system to support the plant better and suck up more water from the soil. As soon as the shoot breaks the surface of the ground, it starts to unfurl its leaves to capture sunlight. The little plant captures sunlight through a process called photosynthesis. This is a chemical reaction that takes sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and turns it into a sugar called glucose that it uses to grow. It also releases oxygen back into the air. Animals like us need to breathe oxygen to stay alive, and plants need to take in carbon dioxide, which is part of what you release into the atmosphere when you breathe out. So we make really good partners when it comes to the gases that we use. Once the plant develops leaves, the shoots will grow taller and the roots will branch off into even more tendrils to allow the plants to suck up greater amounts of water. Finally, remember to have fun watching your seeds grow. And if they get too big for the jar, like mine are getting here, see if you can find a place to plant them outside and watch them grow into even bigger plants. Thanks for watching! I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a little bit about how seeds grow.